This is the video review of Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Voyager class Predaking. And this figure is pretty cool. He looks awesome and his engineering's pretty clever, although it can be a little bit too clever sometimes. I'll show you what I mean. If you look at his heel, it is soft plastic, which seems really weird because he's a tall figure with a decent amount of mass. It's weird to have a figure like this be supported by soft plastic. I don't think it's fragile, but I would be careful about that just in case. Now, well, before we get to the articulation, let me show you what he looks like all the way around. Because he is a very neat-looking figure, a very distinct look. I like the way the backpack looks, how it sort of angles out and then is a triangle. I think it looks neat like that. And he's just a very neat-looking figure. I like the way he looks. He's got a nice color scheme to him. Now, for articulation, well, let me remove the weapons first, and because his hands are actually quite articulated. So take these out. Sorry for nudging the camera. Take these out, and the arms can go around 360. And you go in and out, rotate above the elbow, bend 90 degrees at the elbow, and then the hands can open and close. They look a lot like Dinobot's hands from Beast Wars. They can rotate around 360 and bend like this for sword-holding poses. And then for his head, well, actually, before I get to that, his hands are also this soft plastic. His head has a lot of the soft plastic too. He's sort of like Prime Voyager Dreadwing. But you can rotate side to side, and it's kind of annoying because you can't really get your fingers in there without mushing some of the spikes on his head. And then his legs go forward, back, in, out, rotate above the knee, bend at the knee, and then you can bend his heel and toe down. So you can get him into a fair number of really cool poses. He's super posable, and despite the weirdness of how his heel works, he actually does have pretty good balance. Like, he should be falling back because of where his legs are, but he's not. The heels do work pretty well. I would still prefer solid heels, but I'm willing to give these a chance, although I don't really want to see them again. And yeah, anyway, a cool figure, and let's get to the weapons. So first of all, we have the sword here. And the sword, he can't really hold it in his hand because the hole here is too big. You can see, well, no, I suppose you can't see that, but it's bigger on this side than on the other side. If you try and put it in like this, it'll go in, but not very well, and it just flops everywhere. So what you have to do to get him to hold it is put it into the other side, and he'll hold it pretty well like that. I mean, it has, and then you have a wide range of movement, even this kind of pose, so he can, it's not down as far as it would need to really do this, but you can do stabbing poses with this, like, yeah, I stab you, Prime! And, it's pretty neat, but I feel like plugging into the backside, stretching out that hole, and eventually, from the backside, it won't hold very well either, so you won't have any place to really use the sword except to put it back into his tail up here like this, which is part of the transformation. Well, I'll get to the transformation after I show the other weapons. And if you put the sword in his tail like that, it doesn't look bad, but I don't think it really looks great. I prefer him without that in there. But if you lose the tail, then his dragon mode looks weird, because if you lose the sword, the tail of his dragon mode looks weird. Now, anyway, on to the other weapons. These are his hydro fire gun things. If you move the lever, they pose, and then if you push this all the way down, they'll fire, and they fire pretty well. I think I'll take the missiles out so I don't lose them. And when you have two of them, if you put them in the same position, they can clip together like this, and then they will be geared together, which is pretty cool. Now for this weapon, it can plug into his arm like this. You can separate them out and they'll plug onto his arm like before I showed that. But yeah, the reason why I don't like this so much is because if you plug it on like this is because one side of it ends up just hanging off. And he can't really hold it in the middle because his hands are that soft rubbery plastic. This is how I had it at the beginning of the video. I think it looks decent like this, but they're not the best looking weapons, mostly because they're kind of squarish. Like if, instead of going straight out like this, which seems kind of unnatural because they are dragon heads, if they stopped here, I think that would look just, or around here, I think that would look just a little bit better because it'd be sort of a natural looking pose for it. Now anyway, let's get to the transformation. The first thing you want to do is plug the sword into the tail, and we've already done that. Next, we'll just straighten out the legs, take the arms, fold these horns back. Well, actually, let's get the wings out of the way first, because these can be kind of annoying while doing the transformation. Rotate the arms up like this, rotate these out, split them up, and then these are the dragon mode legs. And then we will open the chest. We will pop his tail off, and that will reveal his dragon mode head. Pull the dragon mode head up, rotate it around, and there's this little tab right here on his head, on his neck, that tabs into this chest piece. You want that tab to fill in a little gap right there. I don't know how well you can see that, but tabs right there, you want it to fill in that gap. And then you will close this back up. And that will give you the head and the arms. And then we'll fold this back up so that it'll stay out of the way of the lower body. And the lower body is where this really starts getting interesting. What you want to do is rotate the tail like this, I believe. Then you'll take the heels, pop them out, and then you'll rotate the inside of the legs out to the side like this. And it's sort of weird how they're both on one side like this, but if you'll notice, the legs are actually opposite each other. See? This one faces down, this one faces up. And that's because these actually end up on different sides. So you want to rotate the tail to the side like, his waist to the side like this. Rotate this around like this on his mid-thigh swivel, and bring it up like this. And then bring his leg around like this. And you can see this will make it the left rear leg. Then do the same thing on this side, and this will become the right rear leg. And then you'll just sandwich these over here. And it's kind of hard to get these to tab in because there are these little tabs right here, but if you see, they're on double hinges, and getting them to tab into those holes can be kind of hard because they have to be in just the right spot. And it can actually take a fair amount of time to do this. So, especially because there's just so much stuff in the way, like with these legs. Like, see how that is in position wrong? I'm going to take this off camera for about a minute and see if I can do it. Hopefully less than a minute. It's really hard to do this in front of the camera, because last time I tried this, I spent about 2 minutes trying to do it in front of the camera before I just stopped. Okay, I got one in, and okay, now we got the other in. Alright, so we got those tabbed in. Then on the back side of the lower foot, we have a hole here and a tab right here. On the back side of the upper foot, we have a tab here and a hole here. So these will, I know it's dark plastic, it's hard to see. Then you'll tab these together up here, and squeeze them together up here, point the toes down. Then you'll take the rear legs and position this sort of, I don't know what you would call that, thigh blade into position the legs a little bit to the front legs, and then we will take the wings and fold them onto the back like this so it looks like they're coming from his back as opposed to his shoulder blade. So we have this, and here we have the dragon mode, and this is a pretty cool dragon mode, although the wings are kind of loose. They came like that, so either a QC issue or a problem with the mold. Now this is the dragon mode. It looks really cool, looks really intimidating. The transformation to get here is pretty neat because of what the legs do. I'll have to tighten these. And it's just a super cool figure. Now in this mode you have No articulation in the tail. Although you can rotate the waist, although it'll move the wings a little bit. So if you move the wings out of the way, you can rotate the waist like this. I prefer just having it straight so the wings look right. And then you can move these forward and back and in and out like this, and right here, and the toes can bend, same on both sides. These are the same arms as last time, forward and back, in, out, rotate above the elbow, bend at the elbow, and then opposable hands. And then the neck can rotate side to side like this. Then it can bend here, and it can bend here. And these sort of, and these rubbery things here, I don't know what you would call these tentacles. I like how they're done because it looks like a mane, and no matter how you pose the head, it always sort of stays cohesive, which is neat. And then the the mouth can also open. So, very neat. Now, about the last thing to show are the hydrofire blaster cannon things again, which plug right here onto the shoulder. Boom, and boom. And now you've got a three-headed dragon. Now, unfortunately, because these are so much brighter, and honestly, their necks are longer, they kind of overshadow his real head, which is a shame. I don't think they look bad, but they are a little bit strange, and they do make the area around his neck kind of busy. So I prefer the figure without them, but it's not bad. Anyway, this has been the video review of Predaking. I review Power Rangers, Transformers, just a ton of stuff like that. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.